Today on the Topping Show, a biological male wins a 200-meter female varsity race in Sherwood, Oregon. Elon Musk and Javier Milei picture goes viral on X Twitter. U.S. To, quote-unquote, forgive $7.4 billion in student loan debt via our tax dollars. Vivek on Republican reauthorization of FISA 702. U.S. Steel shareholders vote yes for the sale to Nippon Steel. Nike pivots back to their wholesale relationships. And Oberweis Dairy files for bankruptcy. All of that and much, much more on the Topping Show. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of the Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day, guys. He's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, you can reach the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Now going over to the business part of the podcast, you have U.S. Steel shareholders vote yes for Nippon Steel acquisition. Now, this shouldn't be too surprising given the unprecedented overvalue that they were buying them for. Well, I say overvalue because the price per share is really attractive. Now, this comes to us thanks to Jake Perez over at LinkedIn News, and he noted that, quote, U.S. Steel shareholders have given their go-ahead on the sale of the iconic American company to Japan's Nippon Steel for more than $14 billion. Of the 71% who voted, 98% supported the transaction per U.S. Steel. The firm maintains that the sale will bolster domestic production and make it a world leader, quote, in the face of unfair competition from China, unquote. Investors are also poised to get $55 per share, which is more than double U.S. Steel's stock price last summer, when it revealed about it was being courted by numerous offers. The field still faces union opposition and regulatory and congressional hurdles, however, which... yeah, there is a lot of speculation that even though Nippon has said that they will relate, they're going to go ahead and they'll honor the good old unions that, make them not competitive, but they are going to honor those previous negotiated contracts. Now, when it comes to regulatory hurdles, it's come out pretty clear that the White House is against this, saying it might be a threat to national security, which, granted, I know a lot of people don't read history books in the United States these days. However, Japan's been an ally for quite some time, to say the least. I don't know how much of that argument really holds water, so to say. But that being said, the government might just shoot it down to the last minute. So even though you have both sides, everyone's voting that, yes, we absolutely want this to go through, the government might just squash it at the end of the day. Though again, considering Japan's been an ally for quite some time, I will be interested to see how they argue that in court. And at the end of the day, is the sale allowed to actually go through? Let me know in the comments. As always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have Nike pivots back to their wholesale relationships. Now, this is thanks to Gabriel Fonrouge over at CNBC. And note that, quote, Nike CEO says focus on its own website and stores went too far as it embraces wholesale retailers again. And again, this comes to us thanks to Nike CEO John Donahoe. And he noted, quote, we've corrected that. We've invested heavily with our retail partners. They're going to go back to working with their bigger wholesalers like Macy's, DSW, which, it'll be interesting to see. Looks like Nike, they're going to the analytics. They know that over the past 4 years, Donahoe said that Nike had tripled its mobile and digital business from 10% to 30% of their overall sales. And granted, there's a sizable upfront investment when you're building out your own e-commerce platform and going direct sales. Again, there's also, you don't have to pay that additional person. You have to deal with that. You're able to cut a little bit of the fat, so to say, and there's pros and cons of both approaches. But I wonder how much of this was just to get headlines and get their stock price to go up a couple of years, a little while ago. I mean, during the pandemic, every company was increasing their direct sales, and that was what a lot of the shareholders really like to hear. I mean, probably one of the most famous ones being Peloton. They only just recently started to do some indirect sales. I believe it's with Dick's Sporting Goods, and that was because of a business partnership where they said, hey, we'll have our, I was about to say vehicles. They're bikes that can't go anywhere, so they're, a stationary bike with Peloton. They'll have those in the stores so you can check them out, and then you can also purchase them through places. I'm pretty sure it is Dick's Sporting Goods in that case. And again, you have the new CEO of Under Armour trying to turn that company around, so there's a little bit more threats than usual in terms of the threat landscape. And this is also coming after, a couple months ago, they said they're going to cut about 2% of their workforce over at Nike. So again, maybe instead of having employees bolster their internal direct sale platform, they'll have, get rid of those, just rely more on the third parties, which again, in those cases, they don't have to worry about anything like salaries, compensation, 401k. I mean, it's all on the company, which is one of the biggest benefits of an indirect sales model. Basically, to bolster your sales force without having to actually, take them on as full-time employees. So it'll be interesting to see how this helps them out in terms of sales for this year. I think it's going to be a pretty rough year for most businesses, especially because, again, it's a Nike. There's nothing you actually need from Nike. It's a lot of luxury goods. There's no reason another pair of sneakers, flip-flops, or whatever they sell these days would actually work. But let me know, are you a dedicated, diehard Nike person? And then do you care? Have you ever bought Nike direct, or do you prefer actually going through their indirect sales model? As always, be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the Culture Proud podcast, you have a male runner wins a 200-meter race against females in his varsity race in Oregon. Who would have thunk it? Well, I mean, anyone with a modicum of intelligence, then yes, probably, yeah, obviously, of course, a biological male, as the youth might say, roasted the females or beat them by a mile. Now, this video was actually taken down, and it was striked by the school. So copyright strike specifically. So a lot of people who had retweeted this had actually had the video just taken down. Lives of TikTok still has it up, and I am experimenting with some picture-in-picture technologies. Hence, you can see a couple more stuff on the desk here. However, I had a little bit of technical issue. Hopefully, be able to resolve that by the end of the week. But know that I am working on it, trying to increase the capabilities of the show. Now, Lives of TikTok said, quote, "A male just won the girls' 200-meter varsity in Sherwood, Oregon. He set a new record for the girls' race. These high school girls just had their dreams stolen from them because the school is catering to the delusions of a boy who pretends to be a girl. He is a cheater." And it looks like this man's name is Aiden Gallagher. I don't think his name in relation to the watermelon smashing guy. He has a finish time of 25:49, with the second place being Samantha Clay, the true winner, and she was at 27:70. Let's see here. This is comical, folks.
25:49 on the relays.
Oh, leaps and bounds. And again, in racing, seconds can feel like a lifetime because, yeah, you get to elite racing, whether it's track or whether it's cars, whatever it is. A second is huge. And this went viral. Got 9.6 million views and 54,000 likes. Now that being said, I can't help but notice. You look at all the stands and all the parents are cheering people on. All the other competitors are there. If all the biological girls just refuse to participate, you have one awkward-looking guy running around in a circle. I don't think that would last long. Now, so some of the comments comes from Paul Zupa saying, quote, "This man is not a cheater. He's a criminal. He's stolen the girls' opportunity for fair competition and to have a bright future in sports. He's essentially R-worded their sport and their privacy. This man should be prosecuted for forceful entry and abuse," getting 2.3 thousand likes. Uncommon Sense says, quote, "Men beating women up women used to be called domestic violence. Now it's called diversity," and getting 4.4 thousand likes. Jennifer says, quote, "For the inevitable, why don't they stop racing? Why should they? All that happens is he gets the trophies, they get nothing. They may not even be punished. The school will get punished if the girls don't race. Why is anyone forcing this choice on the young girls to protect them?" Unquote. That did get 2.6 thousand likes. Well, it'd be pretty simple because if no one showed up, the school would stop. I mean, if the taxpayers showed up, they should be irate as well. Again, they're paying for this. I'm pretty sure this is a public school, so your sales, or in most cases, is funded by property taxes, as well as a myriad of other taxes, including telecom taxes. But I partially digress. I mean, they're paying for that. Scrolling down, you have Random Libs saying, quote, "South Park called it," and it's a picture of the South Park very testosterone, bodybuilding guy standing on first place for the strong woman competition. You have the other girl looking meek and the other girl's just beaten to a pulp. They got 7.5 thousand likes. Planet of Memes says, quote, "When will females finally take a collective stand and stop competing against males? That's the only way this nonsense stops." I'm getting 5.3 thousand likes. And even better yet, why don't they stop and just start their own competition? I can't help but think, if it's a public school, maybe the students should have right to use the track. have the real race on a Sunday. Not a terrible idea. You have Peacemo saying, quote, why did the girls compete? All they had to do is not step on the track, getting 1.1 thousand likes. Richard Pierce says, quote, this is Oregon. Trans women are both protected in attending the bathroom of their identified gender and playing sports. It will take voter outrage or a federal law to change the minds of the Oregon politicians. I'm getting 204 likes. Now, that being said, it'd be interesting to see. Yeah, I mean, politicians are pretty self-serving. They should, listen to the people. They don't always. But, yeah, in theory, if they don't, primary them. Get a better candidate, get people involved in politics, which, again, is could be an uphill battle. A lot of people don't vote. So you got to get them out there and get someone better in office. Let's see here. Let Oregon Learn says, quote, after the second heat of the 200, he ultimately placed second in the 200. He also placed second in the 400, barely losing to a girl. Here he is on the podium, taking the place of the true second place finishers. And, yeah, he looks jacked. Pretty big biceps, getting 147 likes. Captain Morgan says, quote, I bet he get placed last on the boys team, getting 956 likes, which, yes, precisely, that would absolutely happen. That's what we saw with Leah Thomas, the swimmer, who went from, it's like the 458th best male swimmer to then the number one in the female category. Let's see, also have Smith Radio saying, quote, he stole the race from these girls, but he also stole the record from whichever girl originally had it, and stole the dreams of every girl who would have beat the old record. It can only be restored if the record is erased. I don't think that'll ever happen. Getting 872 likes, which, no, I don't think. Unfortunately, I don't think they'll ever actually erase that record. Let's do one or two more here. First-time callers saying, quote, females must not compete, just walk away when a loser man walks up. Getting 689 likes. You have Gay Lumberjack saying, quote, feminists finally found the type of man they'd be subservient to, getting 881 likes. So again, everyone in the comments section is pretty much overwhelming in favor, saying this is malarkey, as Grandpa might say, or youth might say if the term, if they bring it back. But no one is really, at least on social media, supporting this. Now, that being said, there are millions of people who do support this. They say there is no difference between biological men and biological women, they claim. So it'll be interesting to see, what does the school do at the end of the day? Do they change their thoughts? Do they change their behavior? Do you think the women will actually, I don't know how vernacularly correctly it sounds, but will they step up by stepping down perhaps and just refusing to compete against these unfair conditions? Let me know. As always, it'll be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have Elon Musk and Javier Milei picture going viral on X Twitter. And this comes to us thanks to Elon Musk, and he says, quote, to an exciting and inspiring future. And it's a picture of him and Javier Milei doing the thumbs up sign. And it looks like Elon even has a big Texas belt buckle, so to say. Although no Texas hat, so a little bit disappointing. But as youth might say, it went viral to say the least. It got 100.8 million views. And 1.1 million likes, which is, of all the things Elon's done this year on X Twitter, that's one of the most liked things he has done, bar none. Again, Javier Milei is probably one of the most successful politicians when it comes to cutting the fat from the bureaucracy, getting rid of the extraneous parts of the government that really had no value. And Argentina desperately needed them. They had record hyperinflation. Can't help but think there's a lot of parallels between that and the hyperinflation that our own government has caused right here. Now, some of the top comments comes from Paul Zazupa saying, quote, the future is quite bright when humans like these are leading the way, getting 422 likes. Now, you have Lou Salisky, our favorite leftist. Well, not really favorite. However, do appreciate contrarian statements, and life can get a little bit boring if you're just in a little echo chamber. So that's why I usually follow him. And he says, they're becoming one giant Trump head. And there's a picture of, looks like some type of military group in all the cool tactical gear. They're all standing around Trump, and then just juxtaposed with a picture of some thumbs in a red shirt. I mean, mentally vacuous statement. However, to me, it got 272 likes. I wonder if Luke got ratioed. One of the first replies to his was, let's see here. It says 21, but I'm only seeing one comment. And just uncommon, and someone responded to him saying uncommon sense. And it says two big heads, and it's a picture of Biden with the shadow behind him being a male body part, but that did not get any likes, interestingly enough. Scrolling down, you have Greg saying, quote, "Whoa, I can't believe you met Wolverine in person," getting 22,000 likes, as Javier Milei is wearing a leather jacket that is oddly reminiscent of Wolverine in the old X-Men comics, or not comics, movies. He wore a leather jacket, famously. Not too dissimilar from Indiana Jones. Can't help but see the trend. Going down, you also have the Persistence saying, quote, "I hope America is inspired by Milei's election and will vote for President Trump this November," getting 16,000 likes. You have Dan saying, quote, Elon, come to Argentina. We have a lot of free lithium for you," unquote, getting 19,000 likes. Let's see. Shauna said, quote, "President Javier's first act in office was an order cutting Argentine government from 21 departments to 9. The chainsaw plan is now reality." It got 6.6 thousand likes, which Lord only knows how many departments there are in the U.S. government these days. And it's even more perplexing, or not perplexing, not perplexing, it's disappointing, how astronomically expensive it is and how much money this country spends, plunging us more into debt every second of every minute of every hour of every day for quite some time. You have Gad Sad saying, quote, "Absolutely fantastic. Let's hope this signals a seismic change that will reverberate around the world. Without freedom of speech and associated liberties, nothing else matters," unquote, 6.6 thousand likes. Let's see, scrolling down here. Someone by the name of Mia simply says, "Thank you, Elon," and is a picture of him and Javier again doing thumbs up, getting 2,000 likes. Let's see. Preganano says, quote, "Let's build a SpaceX launch facility in Argentina," getting 5.4 thousand likes. Let's see, scrolling down more and more. Let's see. Bia Kikis says, quote, "Thank you so much for what you're doing to freedom in the world, but especially in Brazil. Don't give up on us," getting 3,000 likes. You also have Satoshi Club saying, quote, "To keeping free speech alive, salute emoji," and it's a picture of Elon, and there's a quote from Elon saying, quote, "44 billion was not the cost of Twitter, it was the cost of restoring free speech," unquote, and they got 3.5 thousand likes, which is quite a few to say the least. So overwhelming support. You got a couple contrarian statements, of course, like most things in life, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, will Elon ever officially get involved in politics? I mean, culturally speaking, he is going viral every single day. And in terms of an international leader or a leader of another country, I mean, Javier Milei is I think he's having a pretty significant impact on the culture and politics of the United States, where there's more and more, real life examples of you can trim the fat of the government and it'll work, if not the same, even better. And of course, also at a fraction of the cost. So it'll be interesting to see. Let me know. Anecdotally speaking, have you and your friends ever talked about Javier Milei? Does he come in conversation? I mean, as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part of the podcast, you have the U.S. to, quote unquote, forgive $7.5 billion in student loan debt, aka your tax dollars are paying for this whether you like it or not. Now, interestingly enough, it is, in terms of Biden and the politics, it's good to buy votes, and not morally, I think it's morally vacuous. It is good politically for him to do this to buy votes. However, if you zoom out, it also isn't that impactful. Now, granted, I believe, the domino effect is real. The slippery slope theory is no longer a theory, it's a fact. So I don't think it's good for those reasons. Now, if you look at the big picture, according to lendingtree.com, they know that Americans owe $1.77 trillion in federal and private student loan debt as of 2023. And that's just one of the first results I found when researching the topic. So again, he's not forgiving. He's paying off or bribing people with $7.4 billion. But that's only a drop in the bucket. And of course, it does nothing to actually fix the issue, which is these guaranteed loans, and the colleges have no incentive to really compete or lower the cost of goods sold, as well as actually provide a degree with a modicum of value. There are a couple degrees where, yes, it makes sense to go to college if you want to be a neurosurgeon, or maybe if you want to be a lawyer, people will hire you just because of where you went to college, because of the prestige associated with some of those universities. That makes sense. But there's too many people getting English degrees and underwater basket weaving degrees that have no correlation on getting a real job in it, and they end up just being a bartender and being in debt forever because it's the one debt you actually also cannot get rid of via the bankruptcy process, which is another unique thing about student loan debt, which again makes it even more guaranteed, which again, why the school lower the prices, they're going to get paid no matter what. Now, specifically, this is given us to thanks or written by Riva Goldor at LinkedIn News. They note that, quote, the Biden administration will forgive $7.5 billion in federal student debt for another 277,000 borrowers through existing relief programs, the White House announced last Friday. This round will see more than 206,000 borrowers erase their debt through the new Saving on a Value Education Plan, which ties monthly student loan payments to earnings and a family size. Over 65,000 borrowers will see relief through this fixed to income driven repayment plans, and more than 4,600 public servants, such as teachers and nurses, will also see their loans wiped. Which, that's funny. I've always told that teachers and nurses don't get paid enough when teachers get a whole summer not to work. They also get paid a lot of money relative to what they provide. Not in all values, not at all times rather, but many. And they also get their loans just forgiven. Sounds like a pretty sweet gig. Also, you're teaching children. Also, indoctrination. So I also, of course, recommend to homeschool your kids for the love of God. Now, they also note that the White House was sending emails to borrowers informing them that their debts were being paid off. If someone just came to you and said, oh yeah, we just paid all your debts off, do you think you'll vote for them? Do you think you'll kind of owe them one? I mean, it sure sounds like a bribe. It sure doesn't pass the gut test. I mean, everyone else is repaying their bills. Everyone else is working hard. And if you still have your college debt, I still tell people you should probably still live as a college kid. There's a reason I still drive a Honda, still paying off my loans because they're my obligation. Will they be paid off? Yeah. It just means you have to work like hell to make it happen. That being said, I'm sure this is going to be wildly popular. These people are going to vote for him no matter what. For hell or high water, those votes are just bought for. And interestingly enough, this was over on LinkedIn, which of course a little bit, everyone's a little biased, but that platform, I would say, is not far left, but it's pretty darn left in terms of the opinions that are promoted on LinkedIn that you see the most of, and the framing of the articles. And a lot of people are saying, "Oh yeah, it's great. These kids need the relief. They put in their, they deserve a little break." So it'll be interesting to see. Again, the Supreme Court said this is illegal in 2023. That being said, the White House is also, during the lockdowns, the CDC, or what was it, the CDC? They said they're going to force landlords not to charge anything for their services provided. Which, again, Biden at the time said he knew it was unconstitutional, but he's going to do it anyway because he knew it would take time in the courts to get it hammered out. So in the short term, it worked. He won, and he bought votes. I can't help but think this is going to be the same instance. And yeah, I mean, I don't know many people who really think this is fair. And yeah, a lot of people worked hard to pay off their loans. They're going to be irate about this. Granted, those people are probably all going to vote for the opposition anyway. But if you're someone in the middle and all of a sudden your votes are just paid off, you're probably going to like that person. So let me know, do you think, it doesn't seem like they're going to slow down this trend of paying off loans. Do you think this will continue to be a big deal, so to say? Will it be a big political mechanism for this upcoming election this year? Do you think Biden will double down and try to do this even more? I mean, again, especially if you're trying to reach younger voters or people with student debt, you're going to reach them if you just give them cash, basically. Do you know anyone who finished paid off their student loan and not feel a little foolish because they could just became a nurse or a public servant? And in many cases, a lot of these cases, is if you just pay the bare minimum, after 10 years, the government will pay off the rest if you're a public servant. As always, let me know. I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Vivek on Republicans reauthorizing FISA 702. This comes to us thanks to Vivek's ex-Twitter profile, in which he says, quote, "Shame on Republicans who publicly rail against the weaponization of government, then quietly vote to reauthorize FISA 702, which enables the weaponization of government. Pathetically, they did it on a Friday afternoon to bury it in the news cycle. Mark my words, they'll do this exact same thing with the next round of Ukraine funding too," unquote. And that went pretty viral, to say the least. It got 752,000 views and 29,000 likes, which in the first 48 hours, which is quite a few to say the least. And yeah, a lot of the interesting how I mean, companies, business and government, a lot of entities will always do things they don't want publicized on Friday afternoon because they think, by Monday the new sales cycle, the news cycle will be over. No one will care about it. Which is partially why I'm reporting on this, halfway through the week. But nevertheless, yeah, I can't help but think a lot of people, no one's gonna be surprised like this. There's a lot of rhinos, or pejoratively known as Republicans in name only. Fascinating how Democrats don't have these issues, which should actually respect that a little more. At least call a spade, you know what you're voting for. Republicans, you vote for someone, and maybe they'll do what they say they're going to do. Maybe they'll vote the way they pretend to stand for, or maybe not. But perhaps I'm just a little too pessimistic with politicians. Trying to think how much good they've done in our lifetime. Those accomplishments could probably be written on a cocktail napkin. It's a joke because those napkins are especially small. Now, one of the first comments comes from Paul Zazupa saying, quote, Vivek is right. This is all choreographed to give the establishment more power while costing them as little exposure as possible. It's gross political theater. Unquote, getting 173 likes. Vivek parody account says, quote, Speaker Johnson, when asked to defend the Constitution, and just picture, or rather a video of a boxer, they're about to fight, and boxer just acquiesces and walks out of the ring. That got 1.6 thousand likes. Jerry Mariano says, quote, lots of them revealed themselves today, but we already knew who they were for the most part, unquote, getting 1,000 likes. Daily Trite also says, quote, Republicans are worse than Democrats. At least Democrats push for what they want. The Republicans want what the Democrats want, but they pretend to fight for their constituents want. This is the uniparty personified, unquote, getting 1.3 thousand likes. Jericho says, quote, found an obscure rule, and it forces another vote, and one rep who missed it today is supposedly coming tomorrow, and we need to support her by calling our reps and letting them know how we feel about warrantless FISA, getting 427 likes. Malcolm Flex says, quote, they are the masters at throwing rocks and hiding their hand, and then we wonder why we have massive heap and stones blocking our way getting our country back, getting 431 likes. It's quite a few to say the least. Let's see here. Let's see one or two more. Got Juan America saying backstabbing traitor, and is actually a picture of Mike Johnson backstabbing an American flag, getting 284 likes. You have Town Square saying, quote, they speak a lot about the negative aspects of big government, surveillance, spending, etc. Then they vote to support it all. This is obviously a betrayal to constituents. Unquote, getting 399 likes. And Vandersteel says, quote, this is why we the people, the real government, must show up to petition for redress, getting 209 likes. Top Doge says, quote, Republicans and Democrats have both failed the American people, 34 trillion in debt, and both parties keep making it worse, unquote, getting 464 likes. And now 465 likes, because yes, they both keep spending money and driving up the debt more and more and more. It's crazy to think there was once a time in the United States where you had to pay 40% of your income to the federal government, and in some cases 13% of your income to the state government. And the U.S. was also not trillions of dollars of debt. There's actually a surplus. Fascinating to think how far ago that really was. Do one more, two more comments here. Let's see. One bad dude simply says controlled opposition on game 53 likes. Let's see here. Julia Morano says, quote, they talk a nice game, but their actions show who they truly serve. Unquote, getting 91 likes. Brett Weingart says, quote, discussing behavior by Republicans and Democrats. Get rid of FISA now, getting 28 likes. Seems more and more the same. Reed Turner says, quote, GOP uniparty rhinos are in bed with the Democrats. Unquote, getting 29 likes. Planet of Memes gets an A+ today for responding in meme form. Usually they actually ironically do text form responses. But Planet of Memes has a picture of SpongeBob holding a piece of paper called the Fourth Amendment. SpongeBob's name is Congress. He looks at it and just throws the piece of paper in the fire and smiles. They got 87 likes. Scrolling down one or two more here. Let's see. James X simply says, they're showing us who they really are, unquote, getting 8 likes. So again, depending on where you are in the United States and who your representatives are, check on their voting pattern, see how they voted, and primary them and vote for someone else or re-elect them appropriately if they did vote the way you actually wanted them to and actually, didn't just give away your Fourth Amendment right. How long will it take to fix everything? Well, I don't even know quite some time, I'd say. But let me know. Are you surprised by any of this? Is this really news, or is this just kind of more of the same for this particular case? As always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Oberweis Dairy filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, a Midwest icon. Now, back in my youth, unfortunately, I was not born in the freest country of the world, Texas, or as some people call it, a state. I was actually born in the Midwest, and one of the most fanciest dairy products you can get was Oberweis Dairy. A not insignificant portion of their marketing came from the fact that their milk still came in a glass bottle in the 90s and 2000s era, which, due to weight alone, no one uses glass bottles for the most part in terms of transportation of liquids, because not only does glass cost more, but it also costs more to transport due to the increased weight. So that's why if you ever see something in a glass container, food product, it's more high end because it's perceived value, and also it is an increased cost associated with it. Now, this comes to us thanks to WGN-TV. They said, quote, Oberweis Dairy, nearly a century-old ice cream and dairy company, has filed for bankruptcy protection. The North Aurora-based company in Illinois filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in the Northern District of Illinois, the court records show. The company filed papers in bankruptcy court listed more than $4 million in debt to creditors. The company owes money to Cook County Treasurer and food products wholesaler, among others. The company is owned by family members of Republican State Senator Jim Oberweis, and Oberweis did not provide comment on the filing. Which, I was going to say, the state's going to get their money in Cook County. That's a county that encompasses Chicago. Although, given the history, maybe they're just corrupt and going after this family. It wouldn't be out of the realm of the possibility for Cook County, Illinois. But unfortunately, to see this icon, bite the bankruptcy court. Now, that being said, it is Chapter 11, so in theory, they should be coming out stronger than ever before. That's kind of the marketing shtick that you hear when it comes to these bankruptcy proceedings. But nevertheless, what was an icon of the Midwest, a premium product, getting to the point where they just racked up too much debt, they weren't able to pay the obligations. I gotta say, that is certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, we're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight,